Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Layla and today I'm coming at you with a books that I've read recently video. And so this is going to span back to the past couple of months because while I have learned how to read more during my class time in my semesters because I'm a senior in college, I don't think I've read too much. So I'm just going to put the months together from September until now, which is the end of November that I'm filming this. So we're just going to get into my Goodreads. In September, I read two very basic books and then it's gonna get less basic from there. So first, just stick with me for the first two books. So September, I read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, which I had DNF'd a while ago. I got to like page 20 and then I wasn't really feeling it. But then a couple friends from church and my sister were like, oh, well, it's really good, just give it another chance. And I rated about 3 stars. And I say this because I've already read Ugly Love and Verity, which I'm pretty sure are just gonna stay my top 2 Colleen Hoover books ever. And basically I did not like this one as much as the other ones. So this is about Lily and how she finds herself in an abusive relationship and kind of how that goes. And I do feel as though this was handled very carefully, and the author's note at the end explains some things that really gets into like how she was able to handle it so carefully. And I did appreciate that aspect of handling it carefully. However, I just did not enjoy the book as much as I've enjoyed other books from this author. It wasn't my book. I didn't find it too interesting or gripping like I found other books from Colleen Hoover. The only other book that I read in September was another 3-star, which was The Deal by Elle Kennedy. And this was about Hannah and Garrett. And basically she's like the smart theater kid type of person, except it's more of like a music person. And he is the jock. And she hated him in the beginning. And personally, I felt as though it was a little bit unearned. I thought that she didn't like him because of the stereotypes surrounding a jock. And personally, I've just never been that type of person to listen to what I've heard, like just rumors or stereotypes. So I didn't really vibe with that. But it is about kind of like very soft enemies to lovers type of thing, since it is kind of one-sided. And it's about how the first deal that they make is finally getting her to tutor him after he tries and tries and tries, and then they strike up a second deal which leads to a romance. And again, this one I thought was just okay. Like, it was just a fun time reading a book, and I was just down for that at the time because I just wanted to get back into reading. Getting into October was when I read The Violence by Delilah S. Dawson, and I actually found this at a small locally owned bookstore downtown, and I've never heard anybody talk about this. But it was also $30, and I was like, this better be the freaking best book ever in the entire world if it's freaking $30. And I really liked the cover, and I liked the thickness, just all around the aesthetic of the book I was down for. It's called The Violence. So basically what the synopsis had said the book was going to be about was about a woman, also has a daughter and a mother, but it seemed as though it was just going to be about the woman, and there's this virus called the violence, and it makes people kill each other. And obviously people can't really get in trouble for it because it's an actual virus. And so it seemed as though she was going to use that to kill her husband, and it was going to be like a whole book about plotting that. And it was not really like, it did have the violence, but the whole book wasn't about, you know, plotting to use the violence to kill her husband, which I was really excited for that premise. So I think that if I thought that the book was going to be about more of what it was actually about, I would have enjoyed it more. But I'd say the first 100 pages of the book, I was like really happy and really excited, and I was going more towards 5-star, but then it went in like a slightly different direction with the fighting thing that I'm not going to get into, and I didn't care as much the longer we went into the book. And I finished it because I didn't hate it or anything and wanted to finish the story. But this book is long. It's almost 500 pages. But yeah, it was just another fun read, nice to get through for the time. Next, I was done with the 3 stars, and the next 5 books that I read were all 5 stars, and that is because they were all part of the same series. And I did read this series completely like ebook version, and it is the Mind F series, and I was so happy with this because, like I said, I was like, that's kind of like a month and a half of just 3 stars like books that I didn't really love, but I finished. And The series had like everything that I loved. It had thriller and romance. And you want to know why? It's because this book is about a woman who is a serial killer, and she's working down this very specific list of people who have wronged her. And then she starts dating an FBI agent, not just any FBI agent, the FBI agent, the main one on her case. And so it follows that, and I really loved it. I felt like it was really good to figure out why throughout all the books, because you never really get the entire picture until the 5th and last book, but it gives you just enough to keep wanting to know more about what happened to her and why all of these men had to die. Because it's a lot. Like, if you see her working down this list, it's like, what did all of them do? And this book really did have like thriller, some of the gore in there. It had such a good and cute romance that I really, really loved, and it had comedic relief all wrapped up, and I was also going through a musical that I was in at my university at the time, and it was Tech Week, when you're there like all day long working things out the week before you open, and everybody saw me just breeze through this series. So basically, I finished the first book October 21st, and I finished the 5th book October 25th, because it was just that good. And I honestly can't recommend this enough, but I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't want to spoil too many things. But if you're into romance and thriller stuff and you want some comedic relief in there, yeah. Oh, and one other thing that I will say is that this kind of felt like reading a TV show to me. It was not in like transcript form or anything like that, but the cliffhangers felt very Netflixy, which I loved so much because it really did make me want to like read more immediately. And yeah, I just loved this, and I loved the characters. And yes, thank you so much to St. Abby for writing these books. The next book is the last physical book that I'm going to be talking about, which was Us. This was a poetry novel, and we're back to the 3 stars here, but I have a hard time giving poetry novels 5 stars. There are some that I will give 4, but I would say that is because there usually tend to be like a couple great poems in poetry books, and then the rest I'm just like, okay, that's nice. And this one was one of those, but I do have a lot of little dog-eared pages because that's what I do to pages that I really, really like. Don't at me if you don't dog-ear your pages, but I'm gonna read you one of the ones that I really did like. And honestly, I would say it is impressive to have this many that I really love in such a long poetry book. Like, this one was almost 300 pages, and I've never read a poetry book that long before. So on page 143, it says, "I'll never forget the afternoon we spent in bed. The light shined on your face as if the day had risen just for you. I wanted to kiss you, but I didn't dare, because I knew I'd never be able to embrace you as gently as the sun. And in this moment, I knew she loved you, and I'm pretty sure I did too." And that one just makes me smile, and I really like that one. But yes, I would say overall, Us by Kiana Azizian is 3 stars. Now, the last 2 books that I read recently were both audiobooks, and I will not be rating either of them because they are both memoirs. And I recently made the decision to not rate memoirs because I'm not rating somebody's life. Like, that just seems icky to me. So personally, I'm not gonna do it. And the 2 books are Finding Me by Viola Davis and I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. So first, Finding Me by Viola Davis. I really enjoyed listening to both of these authors tell their own stories, first of all. But I did not know just how much Viola Davis had gone through and how much she overcame and how she had to like heal her younger inner self, and just listening to all of those hardships that she went through and how she was able to find happiness in her husband and her faith. And it was just like so inspiring, honestly. Like, I would listen to the audiobook on days to where I didn't feel like doing my homework or something, because listening to her and how hard she worked, it was like, I have to work hard too. And just also listening to successful Black women in general also always makes me like really happy, and like I'm so glad that she found herself, as the book is called, Finding Me. As far as Jeanette McCurdy's book, I'm Glad My Mom Died, this one I picked up because of the hype that it was getting, and it is about how Jeanette McCurdy is glad that her mom died. And if you read the book, you'll see that her mom was like abusive, as in she taught Jeanette how to have an eating disorder, and she like pushed her into acting and all of these things, and I'm not going to go too much into it, so you can read the book. But yeah, I wasn't expecting that either. I feel as though when it comes to celebrities, sometimes we can kind of like just imagine that they've always had these perfect lives, And that is honestly never the case, at least never the case in anybody who writes a book. But one thing that I found interesting about the way that she chose to write the book was her point of view. And I really found that really interesting because what she did was, when she was 6 years old, and she was writing about when she was 6 years old, she would say, I'm playing in the pool with my mom, and mommy seemed blah, blah, blah. She wouldn't say it as if she's an adult and she's recounting it. She would say it as if she's like currently living it. And so you also get to see how her mind changes. So she would say, somebody said a curse word at age 6, and then she would like actually say it as she gets older, and like she changes into the person that she is now. And so I just thought that that was really cool, and I had never gotten to read a book like that actually in memoir form goes through the person's voice in their head. I'm not really explaining that very well, but you have to read it to experience it, or audiobook it, because I really do like the sounds of memoirs when they're being read by the person, because then they know what inflections, what to do, like they know how they were feeling at those times. And like I said, I'm not rating either of those books, but thank you so much for coming to the end of this video. I have been reading more and I will continue to read more, but those are just the books that I've read thus far. And yeah, if you want to see more books that I read, or if you want life coaching, because I am a new life coach, you can email the life coaching email that I will have down below. Also, please remember to like and subscribe and comment some of the books that you guys have read recently down below. See you guys in the next one. Bye.